Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Prismata. I'm going to jump into the queue, and no games are live. Boy, if only I had some games to review, huh? Shame we just did that on the last episode. No games live. Well, the Trump Wall is playing something? Masterbot, okay. He doesn't have the time controls on. The Madman. Boy, this game does not look very close. Huh. Yeah, I think you should kill your opponent. That looks like the strongest play in this at the moment. Okay. Well, we're not going to get matched with Trump Wall because we don't play any of the same time controls. But another game has appeared, Wolfix versus the Predator. Those two guys were playing when I tried to record the last ranked game that I played, the one that I messed up and didn't record, and that we reviewed in the last episode. These two guys were playing each other then as well. Wow, a lot of large blue units here, huh? Xeno and Manticore both being great sinks for the extra blue that you would want from Odin. Doomed Mech also a reasonable choice, depending on like how much money you want to sink. There's some pretty reasonable red-green, but not like outstanding. I think Odin should be better than that, especially with all the support. Something to note though is Centrifuge, which could get you Odin with a lot less commitment. You could maybe have a single blue only for your Odin. But it's sort of hard to spend your red on the Odin turn on anything good. I know Fuge Odin was good like back with the old Centrifuge, the one that cost like $8 or $10 or whatever it was. The new one I'm not sure. But if you are going to use it, this kind of third NG line does seem like a good way to get there. You might... Wolfix might actually have enough money to spend everything here. Yeah, even if you have to float a bit this turn, you can do that. Borrowed Time Salve. Save? Borrowed Time Save. I don't know. I don't get it. Base plus 8, 60 seconds. Blue looks pretty great. Blue-green also seems pretty good. Feral Warden is a strong unit, but I don't think worth committing to when there's all this other stuff. Even if you could get a couple with Chrono Filter, I don't think that would be really worth it. You don't want the Chrono Filter that badly. There's plenty of options in just blue-green. Your Absorber is obviously grid. Drake is a promising attacker. You'll pick up a militia or two first, and you'll probably get a borehole or two at some point. Either before the Drakes or after, I'm not sure which. Third NG is, like, gotta be correct. Yeah. Third NG into turn 4 Blast Forge for militias. Pretty normal player 1 stuff. What's opponent gonna do? They're thinking about it. Maybe they're just getting a drink of water or something. Maybe they fell out of their chair when I got third engineer. Probably not. All right, we'll apply some time pressure. Look at me, the time, the faster player. Doesn't happen often, but I feel pretty confident that for the first several turns, I'm just going to be doing some boring rote stuff, and I might as well save time bank on it. I'm not going to really be able to think too far ahead in terms of what I'm doing after this, so I don't know. I assume opponent goes triple drone blast forge here. We each get a militia, and something else. I'm not sure exactly when you pick up the grid. Probably not early. It just gives the militias too much value. So I think for a while our militias will just be killing each other's NGs. When do I want my conduit? Do I want conduit? I think I do. Okay, that's an interesting idea. You don't really want blue every turn necessarily this early on. Maybe you could just get like a militia and a feral or something. The feral protects against my militia reasonably well while not committing you to buying a defender you don't want. And it sort of makes me want to build a defender as well. And if you get feral militia, I'm sort of torn between wall or grid, both of which are kind of bad. And I suppose you follow this up maybe with a forge, but if you're doing that, why get the chrono filter if you actually want blue next turn? I think you would rather just get the blue. Maybe it's because like just this one red kind of helps. Hang on, is this too many drones? Yeah, I think 16's plenty. What if I did this? There's a lot of ways I could spend this productively, right? Like Drake Fission, Militia Infusion, Fission, Drake Borehole. No, not Drake Borehole. Grid Borehole drones or something. Not Grid Borehole, but... yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is enough drones and I want to build attackers now. And this makes it much harder for opponent to not build a forge next turn because I threaten a Drake. Ah! They're not going to buy any flexible attack. Well, that makes it very easy for me to decide to build a wall. Although, I also kind of still want that Drake, right? If they're not going to have any blue next turn. I think that would be a bit too much to ignore this 3 damage completely. Especially because it means also missing out on grid. Yeah, maybe I'll just get like wall militia. So I still don't have to attack them next turn. And I won't, because their feral will still be defending. This feels a little bad, getting these drones after not droning next turn, but I don't really want a fission right now. But next turn I want like Drake double fission, which I can actually do, and that seems pretty great. And they don't have enough tech to do much of anything to me at the moment. Yeah, I mean, you can do this, I guess, although I don't think you should. The Pixie will kill an engineer eventually anyway, and you'd really rather have the Feral on defense. Because I can attack if I want to kill an engineer. I won't, actually. But I might want to. An opponent, like, can they really be so sure about this? I don't know. I mean, I guess against what I'm planning to do, this is gonna work, in quotes, right? They've cashed in the Pixie a turn earlier this way. I don't know that that was really worth much of anything. They could easily cash it in next turn. Yeah, I think it would be absolutely correct to hold the Feral here. So like, here's the thing. I guess I could attack, right? Like, I get $2 or I kill an Engie. But the thing is, the $2 matter a lot more to me right now, because I can do this with them. That's why I said they're getting rewarded for the Feral anyway. Normally, I would rather do 1 damage than gain 2 health. But right at the moment, I really want those dollars. Because it makes life very difficult for the opponent. I don't know, do they get Drake Force Field? Drake Barrier? Borehole? What? Oh, that's right. They need like a wall to stop me from killing their Feral? Or their Borehole or something? I'm absolutely clicking the Drake here. There is no doubt about this. If they leave me this much to kill. Wow, this is a lot of drones. And they're, you know, they have a lot of attack too, but they only have 1 blue permanently, so I don't have to worry about a Drake next turn, which is nice. They're attacking for just 5. They get a free Pixie hold this way. But I'm not sure what to do about it. I really would like to keep this forward so I can buy another Drake. What if I got a force field here to stay granular and a splitter instead of that wall? Then I can get an Engie. Yeah, this has got to be better. I wish I had more green. I'll click the Drake again. Don't tempt me, buddy. I still have 7 more Blast Forges in supply. Right? Yeah. If you keep not defending your boreholes, I'm gonna keep killing them. And I think I can actually build another Drake. Is that correct? Yeah. They get a free pixie hold again. Ah, no. They don't. So they're losing this borehole, and they have 5 attack. Or, yeah, 4 is killing just an NG, but 5, if they click the pixie, is killing a wall. So I can't really allow that. And I'm like $1 short on being able to replace this forge. While still buying another Drake, which is kind of a bummer. So I guess I'll just get a grid? Okay. And I probably won't be clicking the Drake next turn because they bought all these NGs. On the other hand, if they don't rescue this patroller, like if they try to get Drake Fission or something, they're just gonna keep buying these boreholes and letting them die. Okay, I mean, I'll kill as many of them as you'll put out there. I think you are right to hold the pixie, by the way. Makes me exploitable. I can no longer buy Drake Forge, which is kind of a bummer. How much attack will they have next turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 pixies. It says 7, but this patroller's dead, right? I guess they could absorb onto it. That would be wrong, but they could. So they're gonna make this force field look bad. You know what? Like, forget that stupid forge. I never wanted it anyway. I guess I'm giving up on the second Drake here. For now. Just to get more attackers in. I could buy a barrier, but that doesn't give me any granularity. They would just click a different number of pixies, right? They would click both. No. If I got a... Wait, is there a way the barrier is good? They're attacking for 3, 4. Yeah, if I got one barrier, they'd attack for 5. I'd lose the force field, absorb perfectly, but the barrier dies without being used, so that's not really any better. And now I'm finally getting NGs to fix the problem. Maybe I should have just gotten 1? So I could try to buy more stuff next turn? No, I have so little tech. If I have spare money next turn, I can spend it on a forge. Alright, we'll make it look like we got full absorb by absorbing onto a wall. Watch, it'll be great. How many drones am I down, by the way? 5? Not too bad. Considering how much more I'm attacking for. They bought a lot of engineers. Are they trying to... I see. They want to finally buy that Drake, I guess, on their chrono turn, right? We're going to do that. See, full absorb. There we go. Of course, he's exploiting mine, not the reverse, but... Attacking for 8 is grid NG grid. Sure, seems fine. These fissions are dying. It would be really, really nice to harvest the green, wouldn't it? Even if I can only get one of them. Is there some way they punish that? 3, 4, 5 attack. If they hold all the pixies, I lose 2 NGs onto grid, which sucks. So let's just get a barrier. Now I'm fine no matter what. Ah, they wanted the fission harvest. I see. That's what all the NDs were for. Although, I mean, they did get 5. They just really love these vigilant boreholes getting killed. And I guess they must be saying, gosh, he really loves clicking those drakes. I do. You got me. Oh my god. I want to have like 10 boreholes killed by Drake clicks this game. Please let me have it. Are you gonna force field to protect one finally? Actually, is it even still possible to kill 10 boreholes with Drakes? Have they lost a borehole every single time I've clicked Drake? Because I can only click one 10 times, right? I don't know. I do think I've actually killed a borehole every time, so we're on pace. And they only have 4 attack now. Right, 4 permanent attack. Assuming I do this. Seems good. Like, I would happily pay a Blast Forge to kill an attacker, right? You're not really killing a whole borehole because, like, they still get the pixie. But this is, you know, it's had the effect that much of the attack they've bought all game. In fact, the majority of attack they've bought this game is dead, right? And most of mine is alive, unless you count the Blast Forges as attackers. Yeah, I mean, I'll click this Drake every time. I love it. Just gotta make sure I'm still adding attack. The drone numbers are equalizing now, so I'm gaining an advantage. Because drones were their advantage, and it's going away. Do I want this NG? They have 5, 6 attack, guaranteed. They could click 2 pixies to make me lose 2 NGs. Yeah, I'll get an NG. I think I've won this, right? Like, how could I lose? Look how much attack I have. I have 11 permanent attack plus these fissions and the Drake clicks. They have 5 plus the fission and no Drake clicks. Yeah, super win. How could we lose? I've said that before and lost, but I don't think today's that day. We both have a lot of walls in supply, but I don't think that's really going to be a deciding factor. Okay, so they really only have 5 attacks, so I'm glad I built that engineer. I'll get a drone, why not? And they're not replacing this borehole finally, which is nice. All right, very good. Yeah, makes sense. Not too many points. It was kind of a beating. So, a newish player. Also, I've never seen the username before, so that's another hint. I think it was clearly right for us both to go third Engie. I think my opponent's conduit was perfectly normal and fine. Chrono Filter, as I said, I'm not a huge fan. But something like Militia Feral could have been pretty cool. To put me in a spot where I don't know whether I should build wall or not. And Feral to like defend against my Militia Gambit, kind of. If I do build a wall, then like you can hold the Feral and I can't deal damage with Militia even though you haven't built a wall yet. So I think if this borehole had been a Militia, this would have been a perfectly reasonable opening. You could then get an actual forge here and like build another Militia or maybe a grid, and then when the Chrono comes back on, then you build the Drake. That seems perfectly fine to me. This borehole just made things way too easy for me. Yeah, so I thought I had put triple drone on the, or double drone on the table at some point, but I guess not. I got as far as this and was like, should I double drone? And I said, you know what, this, or wait, no, that was, it was back here when I actually added the tech. I had drones on the table and then took them off because I realized what I wanted was tech, yeah. And like, sure, keep buying drones, but I wanted to like get some green going and buy some attackers. Maybe I should have gotten the fission like a turn sooner instead of this drone, but no, I like the idea of Militia being able to make it bad for them to hold the Feral or whatever. And then throwing in the Drake, I think, was like great. Drake is the attacker in this set. That's not true. Everything I bought is good attackers. I mean, I don't know. Militia's pretty mediocre. Borehole also kind of mediocre, but fits pretty well into blue-green. But Drake and Fission are the real attackers in this set. Feral is also like good, but I don't know if you really want red here. You know, a Chrono Filter to buy a quarter of an Animus for Ferals is probably alright. It's a good way to gambit against Drake threat as well. If you like have Feral, if you like buy Feral and are planning to absorb on grid, but like lose Feral if your opponent clicks Drake, that's probably okay. I'd much rather gambit a Feral than a Patroller, because a Feral has 3 health, right? They both attack for 1, so if you could sack one, you'd rather sack the one with the most health, so you get the most value for losing your 1 attack. But, well, actually, wait, yeah, that was just a big blunder, wasn't it? This defense is like strictly wrong. it's cool to absorb on Feral because it's a big absorber, but it's actually like just strictly better to absorb on Patroller instead, right? This way, you come out of it with a Tarsier, basically. The other way, if you were to like now at this point sack Feral and absorb on Patroller, you have to sack the drone as well. You lose the Feral and you come out of it with a Patroller still. Is Patroller better than Feral than Tarsier? Yes, absolutely. It has 2 health and it's vigilant, way better than Feral. So I've made mistakes like this in the past, less than I used to, and particularly as a new player who's like kind of got the hang of Feral. Like a thing that I did was I would like, you know, new players over defend, right? And I certainly did that my fair share. And there were turns when I had a Feral and a wall available, and enough extra defense that I could absorb on whichever one I wanted and not lose the other. And even if you're not a bad player, right, you can get into situations like that where the Feral was defending against threat and your opponent didn't actualize the threat, and so the Feral can live and the wall can live, right? That can happen. And absorbing on Feral is like, you know, I remember thinking like, Feral is a better thing to absorb on than wall usually, because attack is better than defense, usually. And that's true. You know, if you had to choose to soak with one of them and absorb on the other, you would usually prefer to soak with the wall and absorb on the Feral. But if you can choose to soak with neither and absorb on whichever one you want, you should absorb on the wall and not absorb on the Feral. And at the end of it, you have the same, like, you still have a wall out there, but your Feral has 3 health instead of 1. Just like for free. So that's a mistake that I've made before with Ferals, and that's kind of like this one, of saying Feral is a better absorb target than Patroller. Yes, that's true. But if you have to sack one of them, Feral is much better to sack than Patroller is. And also, that allows you to absorb on Patroller, which is giving you actual value, whereas absorbing on Feral is like giving you sort of value. If you had extra soak around and you could keep both of them and choose which to absorb on, I'd absorb on the Feral for sure, because like 2 Feral HP is worth a lot less than 1 Engineer, which is what you'd have to give up just to absorb on Patroller instead. But if you have to lose the Patroller, like, you're just taking a Tarsier instead of a Patroller and getting nothing out of the deal, so definitely a mistake there. And they kept gambiting their Patrollers, and I took advantage of that with Drake clicks every time. I guess the biggest problem for me was granularity around their pixie clicks. They did a good job only clicking... not clicking pixies purposelessly. They clicked pixies when it was useful, as I recall. Like here, it was fine. They got this one and they held on to it because... Oh no, here, right, I force fielded, so they spent the pixie. Because why wouldn't you? It kills an engineer. And now they have another pixie. And I force fielded again. And this time, they're attacking for 5. They could have attacked for 6 instead by clicking pixie. But they didn't, because it would have given me better granularity. So, well done there. And I don't know what the right way to handle that was for me. I was just like a couple drones short of what I wanted to do all the time, which was buy a second Drake. That would have been like soul-crushingly bad for my opponent. The game would be over much faster if I could get a second Drake. But the second Drake is only actually meaningful if you still have 2 forges. Otherwise, it might as well just be 2 steel splitters. Right, the point is the extra threat of clicking it, which you don't have if you don't have 2 forges. I don't know, I was just a couple drones short of spending $5 on forge and like 11 or 12 on blue stuff and still being able to keep my defensive granularity. Having to get all these force fields to get granularity against their pixies was really hurting. And barriers wouldn't have fixed the problem. They would have just clicked, as I said, a different number of pixies and caused me the same issue. I think. I mean, I guess it would at least take pixie off the table for them, right? Like, suppose here that I got a pixie, or a barrier, instead of this force field. What they would do is they have 4 attack. They'd attack for 5 instead by clicking their pixie. And I'd... Wait. Oh, no. They did attack for 5. Right. In this case, a barrier wouldn't have defended. So I can't do it here, obviously. Here is where a barrier would have been enough defense, but not granular enough. And so let's look at their turn and imagine that I have a barrier instead. They wouldn't attack for 4, because then I'd just lose the barrier, right? They'd click the pixie and attack for 5. I lose barrier NG onto grid. And I haven't been exploited yet, but my granularity problem is even worse than it was before, right? I don't have a force field or an NG lying around, and the barrier has just been spent. Right, so imagine this force field is gone, but also gone are their 2 pixies. Now my turn looks like, alright, they're attacking for... well, they're losing this, so this would say 6, it would say 4. They're attacking for 4. Right, they just have... Wait, the 2 pixies wouldn't be gone, just 1 would be gone, okay. So they'd be attacking for these 3, plus a fission is 4. And they'd have 1 pixie for threat. And I'd be in a spot of like, I just have grid wall. You really don't want to be defending a number that's either 4 or 5 with grid wall. 4 means I have to lose wall and absorb 1 on grid. I can build a barrier to protect against that, but then they just attack for 5 instead. I still have to lose wall onto grid, and the barrier does nothing. Well, the barrier made them spend a pixie, I guess. If I buy 2 barriers, then they don't click any pixies, and the barriers are totally wasted. Or one of them is. Anyway, it would be a problem, right? So I don't know what I was... How I was supposed to fix that. It was nice when I finally got these engineers, and then all my problems sort of went away, and I could just buy whatever I wanted. And I was ahead the whole time, but I clearly mismanaged my defenses somehow, and I'm not sure what I was supposed to do about it, right? Also, this wall, like, really stunk up the place, right? I bought it here, and it absorbed 2. And then here, it absorbed 2. So that's cool. That's what walls are supposed to do. Then I got a grid, and opponent was never attacking for enough to make me use the wall. Which, like, I don't know. That's not how walls are supposed to work. I even got a second grid, and then still kept the wall. So I was over-defending somehow. I guess I kept imagining they would build attackers, and instead they just, like, kept losing boreholes. So it's a good problem to have, but still not exactly the kind of, you know, I'd rather just not have problems. So let's go back and count. How many times did I click a Drake, right? There's 8 forges left in the supply, and I have 1. So 7 of them must have gone the way of Drake clicks, right? How many boreholes has opponent lost? 7. Was it really one borehole every single turn? Or did they lose one to something else somehow? Yeah, there's a Drake Click that loses a borehole. Drake Click that loses a borehole. Drake Click loses a borehole. Oh my gosh. 7 Drake Clicks, 7 borehole kills. That's the like most amazing Drake I've ever seen. Alright, well, anyway. I guess we're done analyzing this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.